Okay, if there is any one thing that I do not like doing every year, it is starting up my ponds. There's nothing quite like starting up my ponds that gets me just filthy. I mean, absolutely filthy. I don't know if you could see it out this window right here. My Lotus pond is the walk that I have there. And I have a black red and a tower of day and night. They were so overgrown. I'm so glad I'm young and virile because and I don't know how sometimes someone does this kind of stuff on their own without any help, because I could not believe like how heavy that was. Like it weighed as much as one of these freaking ponds. Like those things are like a ton, and it weighed that much. Like I was literally like struggling across the yard. I had to take it all the way to the backyard. It was like a perfect like circle of just overgrown mass roots of second year lotuses, not even like third or fourth year, but just like second year lotuses. They had become root bound in that lotus pond. And what I really wanted, by the time I got back there, I set them down in the grass and I'd walk away for a second, admire, the crud all over me. And then I realized, like, oh my God, I couldn't tell. Initially in the pot, I can tell. I'm not one of those people who labels, and I should. I'm stupid about that. I label nothing because for the most part, I remember everything. And yeah, I couldn't tell which side the Tower of Day and Night had been on and which side the Black Red had been on. And I started to kind of panic a little because I don't want to like start those ponds up, because the black red is going in the backyard this year, and I only want the Tower of Day and Night in the front yard garden. So it's a pretty big deal, not being able to tell them apart. The more I started to kind of untangle it, I had to get a hose to get in there and get all the dirt, all the soil out. Hi, Scout. I started to realize that they had grown into one another anyway. It really didn't matter. I wanted to keep them as intact as possible without separating them too much. You typically don't want to break off these tips, but mine were second year, so they were pretty big. It won't hurt it, but yeah, I just broke off one or two. And I did for the most part, but I still can't tell which is which. So I'm going to guess, and what I'm going to hope is that even with guessing, like that one still kind of grew into the other. I also like took off pieces here and there of like smaller ones that would be more like first year. The problem is that my black red bloomed its first year, but the Tower of Day and Night didn't. Sometimes Lotus can take more than a season to get established before it'll bloom, and I was kind of upset about that last summer, and I knew I would have it this summer, and so I'm really excited about that, but I don't want to separate them further. So I'm kind of at the point where I kind of have to guess, but I snipped off some pieces here and there. So I have two, like maybe three smaller ones that I can also plant in both of them, just in case turns out like the black red ends up in the front yard and I'm devastated. Then I can at least say, well, I have the Tower of Day and Night there, and cross my fingers that maybe I could get a bloom or something. I don't know. It's really frustrating. Even if I labeled, how are you going to do that? You really can't. You have to, like, this is such a kind of thing you kind of have to finesse. You really, it's not like I'm going to label my lotus pond throughout the season to know which side has which. You really shouldn't be growing more than one kind in a pot, really, but you can if you want. And I really wanted to have like several different lotuses in one. I know better. I've learned my lesson. This is going to be my fourth year having ponds, and from now on, especially in ponds, any large thing like specifically lotus and water lily, one to a pond, unless you have like a little mini lake. I wouldn't plant more than one. So I was thinking about selling the offsets I have of the lotus and the water lilies, but I don't really know. I don't know how interested people are in that kind of thing. Lotuses and water lilies are some of my favorite things. They're one of the main things I love growing, and why I got into gardening, actually, or to create a big garden. So yeah, anyway, just to kind of an update on that lotus pond, I really didn't want to start it this early. I was hoping I would wait till April, but the problem is the walk out there had been draining every day. It used to be like in the winter, I could like fill it up once a week or so, and I could like deal with that, but like now it was like draining fully in one day, and like that's too much water every day to be going into the soil around it. I have to reseal it. I have to pull out the silicone plug in there and reseal it, and this time I'm gonna make sure I do that right, because I'm always so impatient, and every year I like wait like 30 minutes and I'm like, okay, it's done, fill it up. And how stupid is that? And then you have a whole season of dealing with like it kind of leaking a little. So yeah, I'm gonna let it cure for like a few days this time. I have them in that my plastic tub in the back porch right now, so it's not a big deal. I mean, if the black red is in the front garden, I'll still have the Tower of Day and Night in the back. I really wanted to have like a color scheme, or I just wanted it a certain way, so it's whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna change and get showered. It's really gross, I know. Thank you for watching.